Hey guys, welcome back to Delaware Acre and welcome to my very full and messy baking cupboard. I had a few extra moments today and realized that this is just not working for me. This cupboard is two of those plastic containers deep and the shelf at the top doesn't adjust, so it's always been a struggle to keep this somewhat organized and uh, so a space that I can actually use and works well for the flow in my kitchen. So I had a few extra moments on this day and figured I would just pull everything out and try to consolidate, maybe rearrange or change my storage containers. So after pulling everything out, I realized that I have a container here of sugar and a gallon glass jar of sugar. So this container here is my all-purpose flour and the bread flour, but I need to combine those two sugars into this. I'm going to put them in this 5-gallon bucket, and at this point I had realized that I did not have the gamma lid on, so I kind of hollered out to my husband and had him come muscle it on because I always have a hard time getting those on. Anyway, the sugar here in this glass jar had gotten like stuck together, so I combined both of those containers into this 5-gallon bucket, and then I'll put this lid on it, and then that lid will go down, or that bucket will go downstairs into my overflow pantry, and I'll keep one smaller container of sugar upstairs for baking. So I am realizing that I need to wash out these containers. So I take them over to the sink, wash them really well, and give them time to dry because when you're when you're using containers for dry goods, they need to be very, very dry. So I even pull the little gasket out of that plastic lid so that it can dry even quicker. I got tired of working on the floor and realized that I have a whole counter space to work at, and it's one thing they teach you in nursing is to use body mechanics and protect your back. So work at a comfortable working height, which for most people is at their waist level. Anywho, I ended up realizing that these containers from IKEA, this one's labeled sugar and it has not sugar in it. There's protein drinks, and then the flour one has the sugar in it. So I'm not really sure why they ended up like this. I know initially I thought those chalkboard labels would be erasable, but they're not. So I'm not really sure how this ended up like this, but I ended up putting the sugar into the actual sugar container. Ended up finding another IKEA glass container full of drink mixes also. So I just put those in the basket and we'll use that for something in this baking cupboard. And here I'm just kind of dry fitting these jars to make sure they fit in there and have a little bit of room to move them around. And I don't really use the brown sugar and my powdered sugar all that often, so I'm going to put those towards the back. And then I'm thinking I can put more half-gallon jars up here that I can reach for a little easier. And then I've always tried to put pasta into these glass jars. I always thought it looked really pretty, but these smaller jars fit a box and a half of pasta, which doesn't help in the pantry because you end up having to keep half a box. So I switched it to a gallon jar, and then I'm going to combine these two containers of almond flour. I have the almond flour, I have coconut flour there, I have xanthan gum, and a gluten-free mix here. I was trying to dabble in the gluten-free and some keto baking. They didn't turn out so well, so I still need to work on some recipes, but this other pasta jar seems to be perfect for my little mini chocolate chips that I do use often when I make muffins for the kids. This arrowroot powder I'm just going to leave in this container because it's working just fine. And then I'm just putting things into the cupboard to see how well they work. There's some cornmeal there. I use that with some of my sourdough baking, and that's whole wheat flour, which I tried to sourdough bake with that and it was awful. I'll put the chocolate chips in the front because I grab them often. This monk fruit, actually, I'm going to put into this other jar because I like to be able to fit a scoop in there, and these watermouth top IKEA jars are perfect for that. So I have been using monk fruit a lot more in my baking instead of sugar. Just trying to find a sugar alternative. That jar there, that's white, is baking powder, baking soda, baking powder, baking soda, baking soda. I bought it in bulk. And then things like that Hershey's cocoa powder and the cornstarch and those that gluten-free mix and the xanthan gum. I keep those in their containers in their original packaging because they have instructions on the back. And I haven't necessarily memorized how to use them. Everything has a little bit of extra space in here now, so I can slide things around and get to the jars in the back. I like to be able to do things one-handed in the kitchen and in most of the places in my house, so it's just easier, and I feel like if I can do it one-handed, then it's quick, and then I won't necessarily make a mess with it. Well, anyway, thanks for watching my little video in my horrible red t-shirt and sweatpant outfit. But until the next video, I hope you're well. Take care. Bye.